Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everyone. This is Zophar, and welcome to my team selection video for Game Week 8. The international break is over, and I don't think there were many major injuries. I think Alderete is the only player we suspect might have one. But otherwise, I think we've been relatively lucky, especially me who did an early transfer right on the Sunday of the international break. So let's get started. It's going to be a shorter video today. I am not on my wildcard, unlike my pod partners. So their videos will be a bit more in detail, where you can see the reasonings behind the wildcard picks. But of course, I hope I have something to offer to you guys who are not on wildcard as well. And I do share my version of the wildcard draft I like. This is how game week 7 went. It felt like ages ago. I think Poro came in with an assist and what Defcon, yeah, he got Defcon that week. Timber again with an assist bonus. Richards and Anderson coming in with the Defcon. So the defense has really been propping up the team. The rest of it was pretty rubbish, I think, besides Semenyo and Haaland. The rank is just about at 2 million now. Need to kick on from here. As usual, a plug for our Patreon. We are currently offering where you can pay 10 months and you get the 2 months free. So that's 16% off on annual membership. It's been really active this week. Lots are on wildcards, so good discussions on there. We also have some exclusive content, Q&A sessions, RMT sessions, tournaments, merch, and more. You can sign up on patreon.com/FPL Wire or scan the QR code you see on the screen. And all the data you see is from the Fantasy Football Scout members area. If you sign up using the code you see on the screen, that's FFS the Wire 5, you get 5% off and you also support the pod. The QR code on the screen can be used to sign up as well. Right, first up, let's take a long view now of the fixtures that are coming. Now, this leads us all the way to the midpoint of the season, that's past Boxing Day. And most of the wildcard squads we do see now going without Liverpool. Most people have also already sold Mo Salah. And this says that Liverpool are going to kick back, especially the period around game week 12. So you can potentially go without Liverpool for the short term. That's the game week 8, 9, 10. But after that, there should be plans to get them back. Does it have to be Salah? Not necessarily. I think by game week 12, you will have Isa getting back to full fitness. You're probably going to get around 4 game weeks of Salah before he heads off to the AFCON. So we could potentially manage that with a free hit. Maybe something in like game week 14 or game week 12, as you see over here. Game week 14 is an interesting one, especially because you see Man City's projections a little bit lower. That week, Arsenal's projections suddenly jump up, and we might have offloaded a few Arsenal by then. Then you can load up on the Liverpool guys, maybe to get Salah, and then game week 15 isn't that great, right? So we're not bothered. We hit Salah in for 14, just leave him out for 15, and game week 16 you get the free transfers anyway. Man City, Haaland just shows how much of an essential asset he is in the short and the long term. With Arsenal, the fixtures are really good for a long period. I was thinking you can potentially jump off them around game week 13, but even 14 and 16 you see over here, they do have good fixtures. So the players just good long-term holds. With Chelsea, I really like Enzo for the short term. Chelsea's next 5 are great, and then after that, it toughens up a little bit. But that's when Palmer is back. So things could get a little bit more interesting around the next international break. That's around 12 and 13. Game week 12 is also an interesting one for potential free hitters who have Haaland and Salah. Like me, we could maybe free hit both of them out around game week 12. Get your Brighton, Bournemouth players, Arsenal, Chelsea, maybe some Manchester United as well. I'll talk about that a little bit later. Defensively, you guys already know this. Arsenal defense is a must. I really like a double up on the defense as well. I'd rather do that than go in their attackers. Otherwise, who else are you going to go with? Liverpool still don't inspire confidence. Maybe you want to go with a Virgil around game week 12, but not before that. With Newcastle, potentially go with Pope. Again, good projections all the way. But apart from that, is really very slim pickings for a defender you want to play every week. Then you have to look more at the DEFCON guys. You're looking at Palace, Fulham, Bournemouth, who are also pretty good, 6, 7, 8 over there. Again, a look at the fixtures. Arsenal, the game week 13 fixtures, one we're talking about, the game week 15, which aren't good. But again, Chelsea and Villa have not been great defensively. They are fixtures you could attack. With Newcastle, I think the fixtures are good for attack, especially from game week 13. You have Everton, Tottenham, Burnley, Sunderland. So you're going to be looking at potentially Gordon or Voldemort, if he's free over the Voldemort. I know we call him Voldemort. Apologies for that. It's just become a habit now. With Liverpool, game week 12 is when you want to be loading up Forest, West Ham, Sunderland, Leeds, Brighton. That's just a great run of fixtures. So I made a wildcard 8 draft for you guys. It's very similar to what you see on the pod. Is Dubravka and Pope, Timber, Gabriel, Anderson, Rodon, Senesi. So your Timber and Gabriel would play pretty much every week. You'd have one of Anderson, Senesi sub in, And Rodon as well is a decent sub, but he'll be most likely your second sub in most weeks. In midfield, you have Semenyo, Sar, Saka, King, and Enzo. Up top, Joao Pedro, Bowen, and Haaland. You could do a few variations to the draft. Let's say, I think Saka I like a lot as a pick, but if you're not too keen on Bowen, for example, what you could do is convert Bowen to Gyökeres by downgrading Timber down to, let's say, a Richards that gets you up to 9.1 odd over there. That's still a decent pick. If you want Bruno, I really don't see the appeal over there. You can also go that route. A lot of things you can do. It all depends on how you want to go with your Arsenal spot. You could even say, I want two Arsenal, and that's fine, but I don't see where you'd put the money otherwise. The reasoning for some of those picks, now I've extended the image all the way in the screen over here. Now, Pope, you see, in terms of BPS, he leads the Newcastle team, but you might say that, yeah, Zof, that's because he's played the most minutes. Only him and Burn have played every minute. That's 630 minutes so far. So naturally, you do expect them to be higher up on the BPS. But now look at the total baseline. That's the last column, minutes per baseline bonus, right? Now, baseline bonus is what these guys usually get. Now, that's before they get stuff added on like your saves, assists, clearances, stuff like that. Just general stuff that keepers do. For that, you see Pope is there at 5.4 minutes per baseline BPS. The only guys who are doing better than that in the Newcastle team are Tonali and Botman. So what this tells me is that anytime Newcastle win 1-0 or 2-0, there's going to be a very good chance for Pope to get those bonus points. And that's what you want from a keeper. You want the clean sheet not to be worth 4. You want it to be like something like 4 to 7, which is what we saw with Pope when he was at Burnley. We saw with Heaton when he was at Burnley. This could be very useful for a keeper, and I like it a lot more than Raya because I don't think that Newcastle defenders offer as much upside as the Arsenal guys. With Timber and Gabriel, you're getting a decent amount of goal and assist potential. Apologies for title. This is not about Nick Pope. This is about the stats for the other guys. Now, Haaland, you see, absolutely has to be in the NPXGI 8.44. Enzo, 3.47. Very good pick in the short term, especially now that we think Palmer is out till the next international break. Very good underlying stats in terms of goals and assists. He's got only 4, but the underlying data indicates there could be a lot more coming. And the good thing with him is most of the data is XG, which is what you really want from a midfielder. 2.96 non-penalty XG, I think, is pretty much the third highest now, just behind Mateta. Good numbers. Sar, I think he's pretty much become the main threat for Palace now in terms of goals. And look at the big chances, right? NPXGI for Mateta and Sar. These guys hog all of it in the Palace team, which is what you really want. Semenyo, not much needs to be said. 8 goals and assist contributions so far. 3.17 NPXGI. Again, very, very healthy. Going further down over there, you see Timber. 2.39 NPXGI, which is very good, which is the attacking threat is worth the potential rotation risk in one of the fixtures in the short term. I like Minte as well. You stick there mid-table if you want to go there potentially over one of the other midfield picks you saw. Maybe, I don't know who you take him over now, maybe over Sar, or maybe you can turn that Bowman spot into Minte, keep that money in the bank for maybe a little bit later. Salah's numbers are not great, 2.17, and as I mentioned as a joke on the pod, they're below Timber, but they will do expect to get a little bit better. Eze, again, the data is from a very limited sample size, but I think he could be a good pick in the short term. If you want to go double Arsenal attack, then you can move him on around game week 12 or 13 when we expect Odegaard to be back. So this is how my current team looks. I've already made the early transfer of Xavi to Eze at the exact money to do it on Sunday night of game week 7. So Dubravka, Timber, Richards, Rodon, Porro, Reinders, Eze, Salah, Semenyo, Joao Pedro, Haaland. On the bench, you have Anderson, Dewsbury Hall, Guiu. A lot of these players would make my wildcard team today. If I did wildcard, Dubravka obviously would. The goalkeeper would be different, Pope. But would I necessarily play Pope away to Brighton this week? I think Dubravka has better clean sheet odds anyway. Porro's clean sheet odds are okay, but I think if I had that slot, I'd probably have Nessie there. Maybe I would bench him. Maybe I would play him over Rodon. So again, I'd maybe even have Gabriel over there. So that would be an upgrade. Apart from that, Reinders, I think, is a perfectly good pick. The underlying data isn't as strong, but he's always been thereabouts. These are all still fixtures Man City will want to win. There's still a very good attack or projected very highly for goals for the next few fixtures. As I've spoken to you guys about, is more of a short-term punt. I still have my wildcard in hand. I'd likely move him on around game week 12 or 13. Salah, he's walking a bit of a tightrope. If I don't like what I see against Manchester United, I might lose him in the short term and spread the funds around because I've currently got 0.0 in the bank. So there's not much I can really do with my transfers. I'll show you guys going forward. Semenyo would be there. Pedro would be there. Haaland would be there. That's why I didn't see as many gains in my team if I wildcarded today, which I'm deciding to hold it for a little bit later. This is how the team would look in game week 9. Dubravka would be out again. Porro, Timber, Rodon, Reinders, Eze, Salah, Semenyo, Dewsbury Hall, Pedro, Haaland. So all these guys don't have bad fixtures in game week 9. As such, Dewsbury Hall is a bit of a concern. I don't like playing him as much, but I'm hopeful that Guillou might sneak in a start against Sunderland. Maybe Maresca keeps in mind that he was there for a short period earlier this season. But again, the team this week doesn't look too bad, doesn't necessarily need a transfer. The only upgrade you could see potentially is maybe I take Porro down to a Chaloba, take Porro down to a Senesi to give me some money to spend. But if I go around 5, that'll only give me 0.5 more to spend. So I can't really take Dewsbury Hall anywhere. I can't take Reinders anywhere. So it doesn't really do much for me. So potentially might save that transfer or spend it. A lot depends obviously on how Eze or Salah look in game week 8. And game week 10, the team definitely doesn't need a transfer. But again, the goalkeeper position keeps standing out. The goalkeepers are a problem. Sells has Manchester United, but he's rubbish. Richards, Timber, Anderson all have good fixtures in game week 10 as well. Reinders has Bournemouth at home. Eze has Burnley. Salah has Villa. The menu at Man City, I think I would be playing him anyway. It's just a good transition fixture. Dewsbury Hall has Sunderland away. Pedro, Tottenham, Haaland. These are all good fixtures. I don't necessarily need to sell these guys. Now, game week 11. Now, this is an interesting week because I could free hit or bench boost this week, right? What I would have here, I could end up here with 2 or 3 free transfers. And with game week 16, getting all those 5 free transfers means in my game week 12 or 13 wildcard, I don't necessarily need to arrive there with a load of transfers. I'm okay there going with maybe even 2 free transfers or maybe even none. Because I want to get some sort of output, some sort of risky punts in around game week 10 or 11 to give me that advantage. So what I could do is around game week 11, maybe sell Salah for a midfielder who has a good fixture that week, upgrade Guillou to Bowen. And bench boost this week, the bench would be Dubravka, potentially Chaloba or Senesi. I think Chaloba would be home to Wolves, Senesi would be away to Villa, Rodon away to Forest, Guillou would be Bowen. So it's not a bad bench boost as such. Salah would probably be Saka this week, who's away to Sunderland. I could potentially even upgrade Semenyo for a short period, maybe upgrade Dewsbury Hall as well and use the bench boost then. Alternatively, I could free hit in this week because I would see over there Reinders and Haaland and Salah, the projections are potentially lower for this week. Similarly for Semenyo and Dewsbury Hall. What I could do, let's discuss in the next slide. Game week 11, the fixtures are really good now for Arsenal. That's Sunderland away. Chelsea have Wolves at home. Newcastle and Tottenham also have different decent fixtures. Tottenham is home to Manchester United. Bit difficult to predict how Tottenham will play in that game. I'm still not convinced about their attack. So are there many high upside fixtures in game week 11? Again, it depends, right? Again, obviously you see West Ham at 1.6 over there. They're obviously the big fixture to attack that week. But then the alternative there is, let's say now game week 12, if I do want to use my wildcard, the main problem over there is the Newcastle and Man City matchup where they're playing each other. I do want to avoid that. So maybe I could use that game week 12 free hit over there. Save that and then wildcard in game week 13 where I get sort of a clearer runway for my Liverpool and Man City players. Is an option, but I'm not really decided. It all depends on how these guys do over the next few weeks. So I'm open to all ideas. Do let me know what you guys think. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Keep an eye out, like and subscribe. The other guys will be publishing their videos. And if you want to get the latest information, what they're doing with their teams and feedback on your wildcard, do join us on the Discord as well. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a great game week. Bye for now.